Hi stamping friends, Melissa here with Melissa's Crafting Treehouse. Today I have a fun fold card that features a Christmas card that's quick and simple. This card can also be made with a variety of designer papers, and I'm kind of having fantasies about making it with every designer paper I own because it's just so fun and it's simple and easy to make. For this card, I've done several different versions and I've used all the different patterns of designer paper. I'm using the Joyous Noel Specialty Designer Series paper, and it has copper elements in it, so I've also done some heat embossing of the sentiment that will be used on this card. For the sentiment, I've used the Farmhouse Christmas stamp set, and you can see the sentiment has already been heat embossed with my copper embossing powder. So I made this card for a swap, for my Alaska Cruise Achievers swap. And so the method I'm going to show you right now is how I made them when I first started, the one at a time method. But at the end of this video, I'll share some tips for how to kind of mass produce and make this in what I think turned out to be a quicker way. So what you see me doing there is using a template that I've created to make it super easy to get that fold just right. And if you're an online club member or somebody receiving my free card kits through my free card kit program, you'll get one of these little templates with your kit. So this makes it super easy to prepare these little pieces of designer paper for the fun fold. So as you can see, I'm preparing each one by folding it over, and it's going to give me sort of a rounded edge, not a burnished edge, and that's going to work to my advantage later when I go ahead and put it together. So I've taken one that I've already gotten started, and I've lined up those bottom two so they have the edge exactly where I want it on the left and the right, and they line up just so. So now I'm getting the positioning of my top two pieces. And then I'm going to show you how I get them all to kind of line up just the way I want them to. So for these last two pieces I'm putting on there, I have already put adhesive on the back side, obviously already folded them, and I'm just adjusting them so that the edge on the right is the same for both of the two designer paper pieces on the right, and the same for the left, and just trying to get an even edge around all of the outside edges of the designer series paper as even as I possibly can. So now I'm taking some mini dimensionals and putting them right near the point of the underside of the designer series paper. And I just did this so it gave it a little bit of dimension and raised it up. And I thought that kind of looked a little bit more interesting. And I'm putting dimensionals on the back side of my sentiment as well. For these pieces of designer paper that I'm laying out, I did actually fold them and use my bone folder to burnish the edge to make it a nice crisp crease. So I tested the positioning before I actually did this video. So after I fold over the corners and attach them with the dimensionals, you can see the shape that's created is an actual diamond. And here's a little graphic that I created to help explain the exact positioning of the folds. There are certain edges that are parallel to one another, and of course some of the designer paper lines up at a straight edge. And as you can see for number 4, you fold the papers so the corners line up at the 4 points shown. So all I really have left to do now is do the assembly. So I'm attaching my sentiment, and then I'm going to create an air bow with my copper trim, and that just goes perfectly with this design with the copper elements in the sentiment and on the designer paper. So I'm just going to create an air bow, taking my ribbon rather, and making 2 little ears and just tying a little bow. And then I'm going to use the trick that I've shown before, that you might have seen before, with some pencils, some unsharpened pencils, and I'm just sticking them in the ears of the bow that I've created, and I'm going to use them to help me get the shape just right, so I can tighten up the bow and then pull down the tails to get the shape just the way I want it. And I can also turn the pencil just a bit to shape the ears of the bow so that they face forward as well. And now I'm just going to put a glue dot on the back side of the bow and attach it to my sentiment piece. I've stamped and heat embossed that sentiment piece just a little bit up from center, so there's room to put the bow. I'm using my paper piercing tool to pick the bow off of the roll of glue dots. And now I just need to attach my piece I've assembled onto the base of the card. So if you'd like to make a whole bunch of these cards and have been waiting for my tip for making it go faster, here's what I got for you. So you're going to start with just laying out your pieces of designer paper with a little bit of temporary adhesive under them, and then you're going to take them off and put adhesive on as you just saw in the pattern I just showed you. And then one by one you'll use your template to fold over each of the corners to create the diamond shape in the center, and then you can adjust the positioning of the folds as I described before using your bone folder and burnishing the edges. If you've enjoyed my project today, please give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today, and happy crafting! Bye!